You open your eyes before the alarm even goes off. That's just how it is now. Not because you're hustling, and not because some finance guru convinced you that millionaires journal at 4 a.m. in the dark. You go to bed at 9:30, and your body finally runs on its own clock instead of someone else's. Your house is a 1,900 square foot ranch in a neighborhood no coastal real estate agent would bother touring. You bought it 11 years ago for $214,000. Today it's worth around $390,000, and it's been mortgage-free for 3 years. Your net worth sits at $2.4 million. Nobody knows this. Not the neighbors, not your coworkers, not your brother-in-law with the leased BMW who spent last Thanksgiving explaining why owning a home is actually a bad investment. You just nodded and passed him the stuffing. You put on the same pair of jeans you've worn for 15 years. You own 4 identical pairs. This isn't frugality as some kind of punishment. It's the quiet luxury of never having to think about jeans again. You brew your coffee at home. Skipping the drive-thru saves roughly $1,800 a year. But here's what nobody tells you. The $1,800 was never really the point. The real win was becoming someone who asks, is this actually worth it? Exactly once, and then never has to ask again. While the coffee drips, you glance at your net worth. 90 seconds tops. It's the only time all day you'll think about money. $1.71 million sits in index funds. Just 3 of them. A total U.S. market fund, a total international fund, and a bond fund that's been quietly growing since you turned 45. You haven't sold a single share in 19 years. Not in 2020 when the market dropped 34% and your account was shedding the price of a luxury car every few days. Not in 2022 when half the internet was convinced the whole system was collapsing. You just kept buying every 2 weeks, like rent paid to your future self. There's $390,000 sitting in home equity, fully paid off. The deed lives in a fireproof box next to your passport and a photo of your father. Another $210,000 sits in a taxable brokerage account, the bridge that lets you retire before 59 and a half. You've got $62,000 in cash, enough to cover 18 months of expenses while doing basically nothing, which is exactly its job. Cash isn't an investment. Cash is what keeps you from ever having to sell your investments at the worst possible moment. And there's $28,000 sitting in a 529 plan for your niece that no one else in the family even knows exists. Altogether, it's about $2.4 million, give or take whatever the market decided to do overnight. You shut the laptop. The market will go up or down today, and you're going to do absolutely nothing about it. That's your real superpower. It took a decade to build and cost you nothing but patience. You drive a 2017 Camry with 118,000 miles on it. Bought 3 years old, paid in cash. At a red light, a brand new lifted pickup truck pulls up beside you. Retail price, roughly $74,000. Statistically speaking, he financed it, something like $1,100 a month for 72 months. You're not judging the guy, but you do know the math. $1,100 a month invested at 8% annually turns into roughly $1 million over 25 years. That truck idling at the red light isn't really a truck. It's a millionaire who's never going to exist. The light turns green, he roars off, and you sip your coffee calmly out of a free conference swag thermos. Here's the part that throws people off. You still work. Senior project manager, 14 years in, pulling $112,000 a year. Solid money, but not secretly a millionaire money. Nobody suspects the guy carrying a decade-old lunch cooler could buy the parking garage outright. You keep working because you actually enjoy it, and because at this point, every single paycheck is pure surplus. Every dollar you make is optional now. Do you know what that does to the way you carry yourself in a meeting? When your director floats a bad idea, you can say calmly, "I don't think that works, and here's why." You can afford honesty, the single most expensive thing in any office, and you're the only one in the room who's fully paid up for it. 2 years ago, they offered you a promotion, 30% more money, 300% more meetings. You said, "No, thank you." Your director looked at you like you'd turned down a kidney transplant. That raise would have moved your retirement date up by 4 months. The stress that came with it would have pushed your life expectancy back by a lot more than that. This is what money actually buys you. Not the yacht, Not the watch? The ability to say no, the morning unfolds the way mornings do. Someone schedules a meeting to prep for another meeting. You sit through both of them with the calm of a man who knows this entire hour is a rounding error in his life. At 10:15, a younger coworker catches you in the break room. Dev, 26 years old, sharp, quietly drowning. Can I ask you something kind of weird? You seem like you've got it figured out. I've got $9,000 in credit card debt and I honestly can't tell you what I bought with it. You could lecture him. You don't. You remember being 26 yourself, when $14,000 in card debt felt heavier as shame than as an actual balance. Instead you say, want the 2 sentences that fix my whole life? Pay yourself first, automatically before the money ever hits your hands, and never carry a balance on anything that doesn't grow in value. That's really it. Everything else is just commentary. You don't tell him you're a millionaire. You never tell anyone that. But that afternoon, you send him the same book someone handed you 23 years ago. Sometimes wealth gets passed down in ways no bank statement will ever show. Lunch is leftovers, about $3.50 a serving. Your coworkers order $19 delivery every single day while complaining about money in the same breath. You used to feel a little smug about that. Now it embarrasses you to remember. Somewhere around your first $500,000, the smugness burned off and something closer to indifference took its place. Other people's spending stopped feeling like a scoreboard. You're not eating leftovers to prove a point to anyone. You genuinely don't want the $19 version more. That's the secret no influencer can package and sell because it can't be sold. Past a certain point, frugality stops being restraint and just becomes preference. The cage door has been standing open for years now. You just happen to like the room you're in. While you eat, you read. Never finance content. You quit daily market commentary back in 2016 and your returns improved almost immediately. That tells you everything you need to know. Nearby, a guy is day trading on his phone, jaw clenched, thumb scrolling frantically. You feel a strange kind of tenderness watching him. You were that guy once, for about 8 months in your 30s. It cost you $11,000 to learn that you were the product being sold, not the customer. Your phone buzzes. It's your financial advisor. Just kidding. You don't have one. It's your sister. Her water heater died. $1,400 she doesn't have lying around. You can hear the tightness in her voice, the sound of someone rehearsing an apology for simply existing. You remember that sound from the inside. I'll send it within the hour, you tell her. It's not just you add before she can say it. I'll pay you back, she says. It's not a loan, you tell her. Water heaters break. That's not a character flaw. You transfer $1,400 out of your cash account. It refills automatically from surplus you'll never even notice missing. Here's the math nobody puts in a thumbnail. $1,400 is 0.058% of your net worth. For your sister, it was a full-blown crisis headed straight for a credit card at 27% interest. Left alone, it would have metastasized into $2,100 of stress, paid off over a year and a half. The best return you'll ever earn is deleting an emergency from someone you love. No index fund can match that. Mid-afternoon brings a weak moment. A watch you've wanted for 2 years drops to $3,900. You can afford it the way most people afford a pack of gum. You drop it in the cart. Then you run the old ritual. Not, can I afford it? That question retired years ago. 1. Will you still want this in 30 days? 2. Are you buying the object or are you buying the feeling? 3. Who exactly are you wearing it for? You sit with question 3 the longest. The honest answer is strangers, and your entire financial life was built on refusing to pay for strangers' opinions. You close the tab, not out of willpower, out of recognition. Maybe you'll buy it in 30 days, maybe you won't. The espresso machine passed this exact ritual once, and you use it every single day without a shred of regret. That's the system doing its job. The ritual isn't a wall keeping things out. It's a filter. And filters let the right things through. Someday, somebody's going to discover the money and ask for your secret, expecting to hear about crypto or an inheritance. There was no lottery ticket, no inheritance. Your father's layoff took care of that possibility a long time ago. No genius stock pick. Your best trade was never making one. At 24, you started investing 15% of a $41,000 salary, $512 a month, and it felt like amputation at the time. Every raise after that, half went toward lifestyle and half went straight into the machine, until the machine was quietly eating 32% of a six-figure income, and you didn't feel a thing. You stayed married, you stayed insured, you stayed out of car loans after the very first one. You were never a brilliant investor. You were just elite at never interrupting the process. 26 years. That's the whole secret. There is no secret. Just a long, boring hallway. Almost everyone leaves early because the walls have no windows, and nobody's clapping in there. Compound interest is the only miracle that only rewards the people who ignore it. Your net worth crossed $100,000 after 7 years. The next $100,000 took 3 years. The most recent $100,000 took 5 months. The hallway has no windows, but it does have an exit, and the exit looks exactly like a Tuesday afternoon, just like this one. You pull into the driveway at 5:40. Your neighbor Rick waves from his lawn. Rick has a boat, a camper, 2 brand new SUVs, and a home equity line that's kept the cash flowing. Rick out-earns you. By every visible measure, Rick is winning. You'd guess Rick couldn't survive 4 months without a paycheck. You're not better than Rick. His boat makes memories, and there's no spreadsheet that can price that. But you've also watched the other ending play out. You watched your own father get laid off at 54 with $8,000 to his name and pure terror in his eyes. And at 19, in one cold, permanent moment, you decided that would never happen to you. Every identical pair of jeans, every Camry you kept past its trade-in year, every automatic transfer, that's a 19-year-old keeping a promise to himself. The neighbors see a modest house in an aging sedan. They can't see the promise underneath it. Invisible wealth is still wealth. Visible wealth, half the time, is just expensive noise. Dinner with your wife. You didn't build any of this alone. 22 years ago, on your third date, she told you she had $6,000 saved and an actual plan. You fell for her right there on the spot. 4 real money fights over 2 decades, and every single one got resolved the same way, through the monthly meeting. First Sunday of the month, 30 minutes, coffee, numbers laid out on the table. No ambushes, no secrets. Money problems in a marriage are almost never actually math problems. They're surprise problems. You simply deleted the surprises. After dinner, you walk 2 miles, same loop most nights. A podcast host asked this morning, "What's your number? When is it finally enough?" You passed your number about $900,000 ago and nothing happened. No confetti fell. The number just became a bigger number and you were still you walking the exact same loop. That's the lesson that only shows up after the money does. The finish line was never real. What the money actually delivered arrived gradually, years earlier. The day you stopped dreading the mail, the day a layoff rumor bored you instead of terrifying you, the day you learned to say no. Wealth was never really the number. Wealth is how much of your life has 0 problems in it. Water heater, no problem. Layoff, no problem. Market crash, no problem. Root canal, no problem. 4 times over. You're basically a machine that converts money into calm. That's the entire business model. You read in bed. Tomorrow brings one meeting, a dentist appointment, and your niece's birthday next week. Someday she'll open a letter explaining exactly what's been quietly growing since the day she was born. That will be the loudest thing your money will ever do. Today you earned $430, spent $31, gave away $1,400, and turned down a watch. Nobody clapped. Nobody knows. Tomorrow the market will open, it'll rise or it'll fall, and once again you'll do absolutely nothing. Beautifully. Because once real money is finally, permanently yours, it goes completely quiet. And so do you.